Awesome. So I can see a lot of people joining. So because we're running out of time, we'll get started. Hello and welcome to this complimentary webinar on practical strategies for landing a dream job presented to you by Lumos Learning. I hope all of you can hear me well. So I'm Sazil Chaudhary, leading up marketing efforts with Lumos Learning. So getting an interview call for your dream job is another step in the right direction, right? However, it's not the end of the road, as you still need to crack that interview, which has always been daunting and stressful for candidates. And the COVID-19 pandemic has made it even more challenging, as organizations have adjusted to the new normal, and the candidates also have to deal with the changes in the work culture. So today I'm joined by three eminent industry experts who bring in their unique perspectives and some critical interview skills that can help you ace the interview and get the job. So introducing first Dr. Sangeeta Devanathan, Faculty Chair, Placements and Area Chair Marketing from CMS Business School. Dr. Sangeeta, you can say hi.
Hi, I hope I'm audible, Sazil.
Yes, you are. You're perfectly audible. And you have a good background, so that's great.
Thank you.
Yes. So then we have Mr. Vishal Chinchure, who is a career strategist, interview specialist, and author of a must-buy book, which is Lesser Known Interview Secrets and Ideal Candidate Framework. Vishal, say hi.
Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Cecil. That's a lovely introduction. You made me feel great. Thank you.
Awesome. And then finally, we have Ms. Mukta TV, a senior manager at Human Resources and Legal at Lumos Learning. Mukta, say hi.
Hey, guys.
Awesome. A warm welcome to you all, guys. So before we begin, I would like to remind you that you can post your questions in the chat window, and we'll take some of your questions during the last 7 to 10 minutes of the webinar before we wrap up. So we have put your mic on mute so that there is no disturbance. I hope that's okay. So you can use the chat window to share your questions with us, and we'll be taking a few questions and hopefully we'll answer them satisfactorily. So let's get started. So I will start with Dr. Sangeeta. So Dr. Sangeeta, many companies come to your college for recruiting the best fresh graduates via campus placements. And there are multiple rounds involved in the hiring process. Like you have your aptitude test, your group discussions, and many more, right? Before the candidates actually get shortlisted for the one-on-one interview. So if you can shed some light on different ways candidates can improve their odds of making it to the personal interview round.
Sure, great. Thanks for that question, Sazil, and a very warm welcome to all the participants here today. Apologies for the background. I'm in the middle of the road, but I do hope that I see that the network is full, and I do hope that we can make the most out of this. Coming to your question, Sazil, on how do you make, I think, your dream job, and how do you increase your chances of getting through to that personal interview round of your dream job? I'd first like to divide this sentence or statement into two parts. The first part is with regards to, how do you even decide which is your dream company? And the two answers are related, because the minute you know how to decide what is your dream company, what is your dream job, the chances of you being able to clear those rounds, to make it to the interview round, and finally to get to the offer letter point becomes much easier. So largely, I would say start with knowing. When you say dream job, and I see this a lot in my students, when they say, ma'am, this has been my dream job. And why is it your dream job? Not because of the company or the profile, but because of the package that they're giving. Or it might not even be the profile or the package, but the company. So there are a lot of ways in which you can look internally to see what can be your dream job. And one of the main things that you need to remember is package is not one of them, right? Because packages, especially when you're passing out of a campus, your first package is your starting package. And that's where it stops, right? But it's your starting package. Post that, how you move, how you create a name for yourself in the company that you join, what kind of profiles you choose, makes your career. And I think most of my ex-students tell me that there are people who probably joined at 15 lakh plus packages, but they've remained stagnated over a couple of years. While there might have been others who've joined at 6 to 7 lakh kind of packages, but within a year they have jumped double or triple. So therefore, your starting package is just the starting package. Please don't keep that as a factor to think of what is or is not your dream job. What you really need to consider as your dream job is it that job or that profile which will give you the jump that you require for a career that you have in mind. And it's all very fine to not know for sure what's the career you want in mind, because at the end of the day, you're in campus and you don't know much about the outer world. So it's all fine to do that. But at least you should know yourself, because you've lived with yourself for the last 20 or 21 or 24 years, that whatever is your age. So you've lived with yourself, so you should know yourself. And when you know yourself, you would know what are the things that you like doing, what are the things that you're good at doing, and what are those things which you're good at doing which can lead to others recognizing your potential or should be economically useful to somebody else. For example, I can say I cook great meals, but I could be somebody who cooks small quantity meals. So therefore, I don't see anybody who would be able to, really cash in on that. So see what are the strengths that you have that can let you build upon it, and there is an economic value to it. If there isn't one very apparent economic value to it, then find one, see if there is a space for it. And then you decide your dream job. So it's not about, let's say, PwC is coming and therefore it's my dream job. What is it that PwC is offering? Or it's not about, Nestle is coming and therefore it's my dream job. It is, what is Nestle going to give you, and how is your career path going to be? So please remember this, that the dream job needs to be decided on internal as well as external factor. Internally, what are you good at and what do you want out of your life? And externally, is that something that's going to act as a launch pad for you? Package is not one of those things that you decide for, or is not the only thing that you look at for deciding what's your dream job. Now, once you know what's your dream job, or once you're able to get a little bit clearer on what's your dream job, or which are the companies that you'd be really interested in, that automatically ensures that you apply and give relevant information in your resume that would attract that particular job, right? A simple example, long back, and this I'm not speaking from my academic days, before I was, when I was the vice president at Radio Mirchi, which is the Times of India group, I had once gone for campus recruitment. And I still remember the name of this guy. I'm not going to mention the college that I went to for campus recruitment, but I remember the name of this boy, Ankit, who came into that interview, or rather I called him into that interview amongst all those 60, 70 applicants for 2 roles that I had. There were 60 applicants. And I knew the minute I looked at his CV or resume that this is a guy I definitely want to meet, because he had put in that information about how he believes the radio industry will move. Now, what does it tell me on the resume when I see this? A, he has taken the specific effort to reach out to me as a recruiter. So it's not a generic resume that he's sending out to every possible recruiter. So this boy is focused. It also tells me he's interested and he's taken that effort to find out more about it. And it's also told me that this guy is intelligent. He's able to think. And
I think we bump into some problem with Dr. Sangeeta. No worries. Let her fix her internet, and once it comes back, we'll take another question from her. But in the meantime, I will like to switch over to Mukta. These are some very interesting points shared by Dr. Sangeeta from a college's perspective, and how she looks at people studying her in her college and trying to get into their dream companies or trying to get in the dream job. So Mukta, as an employer, can you share some common mistakes that candidates make while answering a very few standard interview questions? So there are a handful of very standard interview questions that you come across in all interviews. But what are some common mistakes you see candidates making very often?
Thank you, Cecil, for this wonderful opportunity. So one of the most common mistakes that I have come across as an employer, as a recruiter, is that the candidates do not prepare enough for the interview, right? So what I'm going to do in the next couple of minutes is that I'm going to pick few common interview questions, and I'm going to share my thoughts as to what kind of responses I'm getting from the candidate pool. So basically, the preparation is not enough, and they always ponder, right, in the interview room, wondering what to say, and they end up saying something that might, many a times totally go against them. So, say for example, the most basic and the most common interview question, on tell me something about yourself. So these interview questions are asked to, in fact, set the interview in motion. So when an employer is asking the candidates, tell me something about yourself, obviously they have the resume and everything, but that moment is mainly to give a kind of, comfort and, put the candidate at ease going through the entire interview process. Now, while answering this question, though every candidate would expect this question from the panel, but most of the times the candidates are not well prepared and their responses are not very impactful, right? So many a times I've seen candidates memorizing this answer because they all know that this question is very common and most of the times it will be asked. So they memorize their answers and they just reproduce it to the panel. And more so, we have visited various campuses, and most of the students have this pattern. So you get to know that, they follow a certain template or they follow a certain format. So that is something I feel it should not be done rather. And also, while answering this question, they focus a little bit too much on their successes. So which is in a way good, but then the candidates must also talk about some of the challenges that they have faced and how did they overcome those challenges. So what kind of skill set they had to learn, or the experience or the exposure, whatever it is. So how did they rather overcome these challenges? And also one of the responses that I've often received for this question is that when they try to talk about their interest, they say that they like watching TV, right? Or some candidates talk about their cooking skills, culinary skills during the interview. So I feel preparation is the key. And so moving forward, the other question is, again, a very common interview question, like of all the candidates, why should we hire you, right? So again, the answer is pretty vague, and the response that I often hear is that they think they are the best fit for the role, and that's why they should be hired. Okay? So what I suggest here is that a lot of research about the company should be done by the candidates. So the research is not up to the mark, and most of the times, they just click on the apply jobs button and they keep applying for various job opportunities. But not enough homework, is being done about the company that they are interviewing for, and definitely they do not understand the job description, and they are not aware of the expectation or the skill set that they need to have to perform the role, and so on and so forth. Other interesting question is, tell me what are your biggest strengths? So again, very, very common question. So here, one of the common mistakes that I have come across is that they do not identify their core strengths. For example, there could be 2 or 3 core strengths that the candidate might have, and they do not focus on that and talk about it. So they randomly say that they are good at time management. However, they do not substantiate it with suitable examples. They are not able to relate their strength with the work experience or a college project for that matter. And many a times they show overconfidence while talking about the strengths. And the other question is, say, a reason for job change. So this not only comes from the hiring managers, even in the initial call, this question would be asked, especially for mid-level professionals or during the lateral hires. So again, many a times we see that they're not being honest while answering this question. So they give very vague reason like, giving some superficial answer or being very ambiguous while answering this question. So that is something which is a big no. And be honest and be authentic while answering these questions. And I'd like to also add, during the entire process, what sort of, common mistakes that I have come across, which could be definitely, rectified or rather worked upon. So one is, Dr. Sangeeta spoke about the resume. So many a times as an employer, I've seen that, there are various projects that are listed. And when you look at the description, you see that the same thing is being copied for all the projects. So, which is not really good. And overcommitting on the notice period. So again, a very common issue for both the employers as well as the job seekers. So if your notice period is 60 days, just stick to that. And it shouldn't be, you shouldn't put yourself in a position where you're not able to negotiate with your current employer, and also not able to negotiate with the prospective employer. So that again is a big no. So yeah, overall, I would say that preparation is the key, Sizzle. And if we just prepare for some of these common interview questions before actually attending the interview, I think it would really go well.
Very interesting, Mukta. I think we have all made those mistakes early in our career, and this is some very interesting pointers, bringing your employer's perspective and giving some real life examples. I hope it really helps the people who are listening to it. So I will now switch over to Vishal a little bit and bring in his perspective on something that's very interesting. And it's been happening a lot today. So Vishal, based on your experience, conducting thousands of job interviews and interacting with candidates from across the globe, you might have noticed people, complaining about issues related to interview anxieties, and also not able to deal with failures after an interview. So can you share some best practices of handling interview anxiety and also failure after an interview?
Sure, Cecil. Thank you. And it's a very interesting question. So interview anxiety is a problem, but this problem comes with a solution, right? So, I mean, let's think about it. What is interview or what is anxiety as such? Anxiety, if you check in dictionary, it says, it is your reaction to a stressful, unknown, dangerous, or unfamiliar situation, right? So now if you could see the words unknown and unfamiliar, when you bring this into the world of interview, that means to say that you will cause interview anxiety if you're unknown about something. And like Mukta said, preparation is the key, right? So now there is a simple solution. If the anxiety is caused due to unfamiliar situation, get familiar to it. That means to say prepare. Now, while we are talking about preparing, there are a few things which comes to my mind, and which can help you stand out in an interview, and this will also give a very good flow and make you comfortable in the interview. That again comes back to preparation. Number one thing you would want to know is and do this is understand the role. Most of the times we get into a role because the brand name of the organization is very good. Okay, we get into a role because you think, okay, a business analyst sounds good, but you don't know what exactly job is there of a business analyst, and you just get it just for the sake of getting it, and because those things sound good to you. But you need to really understand the role, and when you understand the role, you got to differentiate the role from the functional skill and the softer skill side of it. When you talk about functional skill, for example, let's say there is a role of a recruiter you're looking for. What are the functional skills required to it? You will look into screening, you will look into sourcing, you will look into how do you build Boolean strings, how do you search a job on Naukri or all other job portals, right? And when it comes to a softer skill, what does this skill really require? This requires you, to be somebody who loves to talk to people. This requires you to, go out of your comfort zone and ask those questions to candidates. People who are new to this job market, and sometimes you want to talk to the people who are 30 years more experienced than you, right? So you got to understand, what is that role you're looking for, and you need to really understand the role what you're getting into. it exactly matches what your requirement is. The second thing I would recommend is, you got to study the organization. And this is one of the most common interview mistakes, right? So, so the survey on Glassdoor says 79% of the time, a candidate gets rejected if it doesn't know about the organization. I have interviewed so many people, and I make it a point to ask them, what do you know about the organization? I'm not, expecting them to know about what is our share value. I'm not expecting them to know, what is the project we are going to launch soon, or anything which is about news. But at least the basics, right? You got to show that you are preparing. Your preparation shows that you're serious. You can talk about, the history of the organization. You can talk about, what are those, various challenges organization has faced. This is available for free, right? See, this is a place where you are going to invest a lot of time. More time you're going to spend with your family. Beyond that, you're going to spend that time with your office colleagues and being in office, right? So why wouldn't you want to learn and know about the place where you're going to spend most of your time, right? The third thing I would recommend is, you got to know your interviewer. And this is very important, because this makes a subconscious impact on the interviewer's mind. Now, let's say, since I can see many freshers who have joined here, let's say I'm going on a date, and let's say it's a blind date. It's like interviews, right? It's a blind date. You don't know till you're talking to the person for the first time. Now, if I'm going on a blind date, wouldn't I go and stalk on social media to see what is this person interested into? Why wouldn't I have the same kind of approach when I'm going to invest myself in a job or in my career, right? So take out some time, go on LinkedIn and identify, what is this person into? What is his career history? What has he gone through? Your interviewers would have, worked in multiple organizations into different roles. And if you get an opportunity in your interview, talk about it. Okay. And the last thing I would say is, script your answers. Well, you shouldn't sound scripted. When I say script your answer, don't get me wrong. When I say script your answers, that means to say you need to structure your answer. Okay, like Mukta was talking about, one of the most common interview questions, right? These questions will be asked to you, like, introduce yourself. This is going to be asked to you. Okay, 99% of the time it is asked. And, this is going to be probably the first question. While you're answering this question, why don't you tell them something which is not there in the CV? Now, for example, let's say you are asking me, Vishal, can you tell me about yourself? I'll say, okay, I'm Vishal. I have worked in this company. I have this much years of experience. My expertise is into this, and this is my notice period, and this is what it is. I stay in Bangalore, etc., etc. That means to say you are telling somebody which is already there in the CV. Why would you do that? Okay. Look up, and now what I try to compare this, and this comes to in my experience. I have seen I can always distinguish two candidates, right? There is one candidate who comes with an answer, who tells you what you want to hear, okay, and there is somebody who just reads out whatever is there in the CV. So make sure that when you are introducing yourself or you're answering those tough interview questions, you need to talk about what is that value you're bringing to the table. Tell them something which they don't know. Now, to your second question, Cecil, how do you answer, how do you, tackle the anxiety, or, what happens when you fail in the interview, right? So how do you handle failure? So there are two aspects to look at it. Okay, number one is, you can, once you fail in the interview, okay, you can sulk, okay, you can get demotivated and you start self-doubting yourself. And the second aspect too is, you take it as a learning, okay? Leverage this learning into a great experience you're going to have in your next round of interviews. And you got to remember why I'm telling you your aspect or your approach to failure is important, because you will not be surprised the number of challenges once you come into a job, right? Job is not, gone are those days, when job was like, you're asked to do this is a process and you follow. No, the job requirements are very agile in nature. And the business always keeps you on course to make sure that you understand. And when they are interviewing you, they exactly check, are you okay to do multitasking? Are you going to go out of your comfort zone, to do this particular task and all those things? So, do not sulk. Okay, failure is fine, but you got to learn from that failure and emerge out, because the situations will come into you for future, and you got to be very confident about it.
Awesome, Vishal. It was great listening to you. I think there are very practical points that you shared, and thanks so much for that. I can see Dr. Sangeeta back. So good to have you back, Dr. Sangeeta. So I would like to learn a little bit more about something very specific. So at your institute, how do you help this, freshers to prepare for this campus placement? What type of resources and tools do you provide them, to facilitate them to prepare for this campus placements?
In some ways, my dropping out has been a blessing in disguise, because a lot of what I would talk about as help is kind of already been spoken about, spoken by Mukta and Vishal. Basically, especially for freshers in a campus like ours, what we look at is placement training in three different ways. First is the training in terms of the softer skills, right? So if there is somebody who, I think, how do you answer questions which are, I think Vishal was just talking about it. How do you tackle an interview? A typical question like, tell me something about yourself, and we've seen students parrot out what's there in their resume. So we try and give that as a structured training program. So at our B school especially, we have a structured program which goes across all 4 semesters. It's a 4-semester program, and all 4 semesters, especially in the first 3 semesters, we have a structured program where step by step, one is, of course, the soft skills, which is interviewing skills. How do you handle a GD? What is it that the interviewer or the recruiter is looking for when they conduct a GD? And how do you conduct one? How do you conduct yourself in that? So that's the softer aspects of it. The second, so like I said, it's a 3-pronged approach that we have. The second is, of course, the technical training, which is, I wouldn't say a placement training, but the fact that you are doing a course on, let's say, MBA, since that's the background that I come from, you should be able to have the knowledge and the theoretical underpinnings and its application outside. So that's your, and that's not necessarily delivered separately as placements training, but your entire course prepares you for that. And the third aspect, and I think that's the most important aspect, is how do you prepare yourself to apply for the right jobs by looking into the JDs, understanding your internal strengths? How do you ensure, and I love the point that both Mukta and Vishal made, how do you make the recruiter feel that you're interested in them? I think he used the example, the analogy of a blind date. We try and tell them that we try and train them on how do you woo. It's all about wooing and impressing your recruiter by showing them that you're interested in it. So a lot of our training goes into what are the basics that you need to know. If you have applied for a job, are you sure you've applied for it because you've gone through it, gone through the JD, and you're sure you need this job, or you think you're good for this job? If you think you're good for this job, find out what is it that the company is looking for, what is it about you that will match it, so that when questions like this crop up on how do you, why do you think you are suitable for this job? I think that's one of the things that Mukta spoke about. You have an answer that's relevant to that particular recruiter, because at the end of the day, that recruiter needs to feel that they're wooed. So we largely do the training at these 3 levels: soft skills, technical skills, which is not really placement training, but company specific or recruiter specific training, where we try and tell them, if you're really interested in this job, have you found out about this company? We in fact try and, if there are a lot of students who have, for example, applied for a particular job, we try and do a pop quiz to see if they've even gone through the basics of that company. So these are the 3 levels at which we do it. And I think that hugely increases their chances of being recruited at their dream job.
That's awesome, Dr. Sangeeta. That's really awesome. I think I really like the way we explain the approaches. I think it's very holistic in nature, and it will be very useful for candidates. So I know as we're stretching a little bit, but I believe I have a couple of more questions, and I think they're really important. So I would request you guys to hang on for a little bit, and I promise you won't be disappointed, right? So the next question I'll pose to Mukta very quickly, and Mukta, I'd like you to keep it really concise and short because we're out of time. So now I would like to know that, as an employer, we keep hearing this a lot in our circles, that there is a dearth of high quality relevant talent in the job market. Do you think is it really true because you have been interviewing candidates for multiple positions?
Yeah, so I would like to answer that in the affirmative. So it's a big yes. Yes, there is a dearth of talent in the market. So there is a talent surplus, but there is a dearth of quality talent in the market, right? So according to a recent study conducted by one of the global consulting firms, I would like to quote, by 2030, more than 85 million jobs could go unfilled because there aren't enough skilled people to take them. So this is largely true, right? And from my experience, I can say that we visit campuses and also conduct a lot of interviews, be it for the entry level or for the lateral level. What we see that the initial level, so when you say campus hiring, I have only seen about 25% of the lot clearing the first test, the aptitude test. And, about 10% make it to the offer, right? And most of the times, what we as an employer have seen is that there is a lot of settling down that happens. So, for example, the employer would not get an ideal match, so they go in for a very close match and they settle. So, and also, even if you get an exact match, what happens? The market being skewed more towards the job seekers, we might lose them. So, for example, the most in-demand jobs today, right, are say DevOps engineers, cloud developers, AI specialists, full stack engineers, UX designers, digital marketing folks, and so on. Now, with the dearth of talent, what is happening is that most of the job seekers who are not even having an IT background are getting into core IT skill-based jobs. Now, so the way the employers, compromise or settle, similarly, even the job seekers face the heat, right? So there are many talented job seekers out there in the market who are not getting that right opportunity that they deserve, right? It could be due to several reasons. So we all spoke about how the resume makes a difference, and they are not able to describe their skills, they are not able to talk about their talent enough during the process or on the resume, whatever could be the reason. The employers are not able to tap that right talent from the market, right? And so what I would say is, just to keep it short, how do we address this situation? So I think with limited time, I can say that it's the onus on both the job seekers as well as the employers. So I think the employers must filter out that right talent from the market by having an efficient interview process. At the same time, it's also the prerogative of the job seeker, right, to do their homework, to prepare and grab that right opportunity. Back to you, sister.
Thanks, Mukta, for bringing that perspective. So, Vishal, that's the final question I have for you. So, see, most of us understand the importance of possessing excellent communication skills, right? We hear this phrase, excellent communication skills, and people say that, yeah, one of my biggest strengths is I'm an excellent communicator. And we all understand that, to do well in interviews and succeed in the workplace, you need good communication skills. Now, communication skills has two parts, verbal and non-verbal, right? Now, since job interviews of today are nowadays conducted via various mediums, a virtual medium and a live medium as well. So what are some verbal and non-verbal communication strategies, essentially should be imbibed in candidates essentially, so that they, make it through to the for the dream job?
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Excellent question. And what you rightly said, I have seen so many candidates when I interview them. They say, Vishal, it's written in the, in the CV in bold, excellent communicators, right? So, but when I talk to them, they're not. And I'll tell you, the problem here is most of us get confused excellent communication to excellent English. Okay, English is a medium of communication and not communication itself, right? So I think when it comes to communication, it is very important for you to understand that, the whole point of having an excellent communication is to deliver the message what you want to give to the person. if you have strong English, but you're not making sense, right? You are just like somebody who doesn't know English. First thing is to understand, communication is not equal to English, right? Now, to the second piece where you say, what are the strategies of verbal and non-verbal communication? Now, okay, okay, verbal communication, okay, verbal strategies. Now, verbal strategies are something, okay, in this world, when you talk about virtual interviews and, interviews through live, Zoom or all other platforms, right? The interview becomes two-dimensional rather than three-dimensional, right? You're not seeing the person face to face, but you're just seeing him on the video, so it becomes two-dimensional. And while it is two-dimensional, it becomes even more important that you are making that impact while you're talking to them. Now, few things which are very, very simple yet very, very critical. Okay, number one, let's say for the first time when I get on a call and for my interview, when I get on the video and when I talk to the candidates, my first question is, hey, hi, how are you? Right? And they say, yeah, I'm fine. How are you? Okay, that's candidate number one. Now let's look at another interesting candidate I would want to hire. I say, hey, hi, how are you? He said, well, you know what? I'm very excited, a little nervous, honestly, because, I'm looking forward for this job and I'm already here doing an interview, so I can't get better. Now just think about these two responses, right? When you have these two responses, you have already made an impact while you're talking. First important thing is you got to greet well. Greet well, greet very, very confidently, because that is like your ticket in the conversation. Number two is have a strong, good energy. Okay, have good energy while you're talking to them. Don't be slow. Don't be okay. Don't be very quiet, and don't answer just to the point. You got to show your energy, your enthusiasm, right? And again, that's the reason I see it becomes even more important. When you are on a live interview or over a camera. Okay, have good flow and modulation of your voice and in your communication. Talk about what are the values you are going to bring to the table. Okay, what? There is this very one interesting sentence I remember from the book called "How to Handle Toughest Job Interview Questions" by David Portney. Right? It says, the interviewers or the hiring managers are always interested in only one radio channel, that is WIIFM. What is it in for me? Right? So you got to make sure that you are delivering the value. Talk to them, what you're going to bring to the table and you're going to give it to them, right? And make sure that you're proving your mettle by giving some nice stories. And again, please don't get confused that when you're trying to tell a story or a success story, just don't get confused that you have to tell only things that you are successful about. No, right? Tell them a story, which has a happy ending. Even if it doesn't have a happy ending, you got to come up with the learnings what you have had from those stories. Okay, don't be a sheep in a herd. Okay, you got to stand out from other candidates. Now, when we talk about the non-verbal strategies for a live interview or a video camera interview, I think few things which make impact is, you got to dress to impress. I mean, be at your best, right? I mean, this person is going to make, judgment about you. Okay, judgment could be the wrong word, but this shows your preparation. You got to dress your best. I'll tell you why. Because when you look good, you perform good. When you perform good, you are able to express good. So it is very important that you look good, and that comes out in camera, that comes out when you're talking. Second thing is, I have seen so many challenges here. There are candidates who are on a camera, but we lose the connection in between. They're on the camera, their headphone is not working. They're on the camera, the background is poor. Come on, guys, we got to get serious and understand, this is an interview, not a casual conversation with your friend, right? So please make sure you take out some time to make sure that, you're logistically fit. Okay, you're making sure the internet connection is good, you're making sure your camera is good, and you make sure that you are there for the interview without any external hiccups. Okay, always wear a smile and have a good posture. Okay, let's say you are in an interview and you're not even facing the interviewer. How bad that would be, right? So don't do that. You got to face the interviewer and you got to talk to them about things which really matter. And you got to be on time. I think this is one of the biggest thing. When people are not on time, the judgment is made already. You don't even need to express yourself and tell about yourself. You're not on time, he's like, oh my God, he was not on time. And I have seen this, I mean, sometimes it could be fair, sometimes it could be not fair. But let's say, you are late for an interview for a very genuine reason. Make sure that you go back and communicate, why you're not able to be on time, ask them to reschedule, or, don't rush in and, and make it bad for yourself. The last thing I would say is, I have seen people when they come into a new place for an interview, I have seen this, while having face-to-face or verbal or video interviews also, right? Do not get acquainted to the place. You come there, you sit there, then you are very uncomfortable because this place is very, very new to me, right? This happens to everybody. So please make sure you come on time, you understand the environment, you get acquainted with that, and make yourself comfortable so that your whole conversation, your whole interview is comfortable.
Very useful pointers, Vishal. I think we can all make a note of this, not only during interviews, but also during customer calls, or during having those meetings with our teammates as well. So I think that's all we have. I don't think we have many meaningful questions for you guys today. So you guys are spared, right? But before we wind up, I will request a few more minutes from you, just a couple of minutes. My colleague Rishiba will brief you about the free online course that we promised to all the webinar registrants. And the course name is Communication 360 Master Job Search and Interview Skills. And it will be available to all the webinar registrants who joined the webinar and also those who did not. It will be available on demand for them. And Rishiba will take you through what is this course about and how can you access it via our online platform. Over to you, Rishiba.
Hi, everyone. So Sujit has already told you about the free course that is available to you for free. So this course is basically designed to learn the best practices to follow during all stages of job interview process. So this course will be covering a lot of topics that will help you to learn how you can construct an effective resume, then the tips to for telephonic and video interviews, and also the do's and don'ts to follow while answering common interview questions, as Mukta ma'am already emphasized on. So yeah, and also the follow-up approaches after the interview. So once you complete the course, you can take a test also to evaluate your knowledge about interview preparation. So you do get an opportunity to earn a certificate on passing. So you can go ahead. So now the question is how you get an access to this course. So there are two use cases, like some must be already having a Lumos Learning account and some might not have. So those who are having a Lumos Learning account, they can log in with their username and passwords, and this is how your portal will look after the communication course will be added. And you can click on the view course and get started. So for the ones who don't have the Lumos Learning account, so we'll be sharing a web page link to the communication course, and you can register. This is a free sign-up form where you can enter your details and create an account for yourself. So upon creating an account, you will be able to view your course and you can get started. So I hope, so thank you. And I hope that this course really helps you to prepare better and gain the best strategies for acing the interviews. Good luck.
Thank you, Rishiba. So just a quick heads up, whatever Rishiba told you, we will also send an email to all the webinar registrants, and you will get to know how you can access this course. So do check out this course. I hope this course will be really useful and it will help you to. I can see one question coming from Devraj. So probably I will take it up with Mukta. Mukta, Devraj asks, is it okay to do short-term jobs until we find a dream job? That's a very interesting question.
Yeah, so yes, as long as you keep upskilling yourself, that is perfectly fine. But again, word of caution here, some of the employers have a policy where dual employment is strictly prohibited. So I suggest, refer to the policy and do not take up any short-term jobs while being in a full-time employment. Otherwise, yes, so short-time jobs gives a variety of challenges. So you get to learn a lot and definitely upskill yourself. So yes, you can definitely. Thanks, Devraj.
Okay, let me see. Okay, I don't see any more questions here. So guys, we have overshooted a bit from what we promised, but I hope this session was really helpful, and thank you so much to the panelists, right? You guys have shared a unique perspective, and I'm very sure this will be very useful for people across all age groups and across different levels, right? Starting from early career professionals to senior level employees. So thank you so much, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.